Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to this season's devlog. I just released version 1.5.0, which has a lot of pretty cool changes in the contracts mode here, notably randomized loot, but also more cool than that, I would say, is the introduction of the commander and group system, which is, I would personally say, is a little basic at the moment, though, I don't know, it's pretty cool. Definitely a step up from how contracts used to be. But I have some really good ideas to make it even more interesting. But I'm not going to cover that just yet. A lot has changed since the last devlog, which was around the same time as release. So I'm just going to go through and kind of use the old change logs from then as a guide for the rest of this video. I'm going to try to be quick about that because you could just read the change logs, but there's a few things to expand on from there. So since the last time, pretty much every single devlog, I have more guns that have been added to the game. Notably, there is Wurzfeld's FAL. He is a character in the game, and it's just a customized version of the FAL. It is not currently unlockable in the game, although actually this is fully implemented. It is all ready to go. But this will be usable probably... Well, it's going to be unlocked through the story. I'm just trying to think when would be a good level to unlock it at. But in the future, as you play the campaign, which I have gotten quite a few levels here. Or not really quite a few. It feels like quite a few. This was a lot of work just to get these two. We got the introduction level and the next level after that called Scent of Prey, where you raid a warehouse, an enemy warehouse, which I feel like I'm particularly glad with how, particularly happy with how this level turned out. Scent of Prey, it felt like it went pretty well. But to go back to this and not get too sidetracked, another new thing is the PKM. I'll actually equip that here. A few things have changed with its animations over time. They're still not perfect. I just really haven't gotten around to doing it. It won't even be that hard. It's just animations. I don't like doing them. They're really time consuming, but sometime I should really go in and redo all the animations, or at least look at if they need redoing. There's a few that are fine, but a lot of them are kind of, they look a little stiff, and the PKM is not timing correctly. The reload animation does not work well with... So how I have it set up is every gun has its own reload animation, and then your player character has its own reload animation as well, and they are supposed to time together. With the PKM, it's not timed because, well, I'm currently looking into it. The reason I have it like that is for modularity, because some guns, like I can reuse the same player reload animation, but then they have a different animation on them, like some of the AKs and FALs do that. Because the charging handle's on the other side here for the FAL, but they share the same player reload animation. So, and then they just have like a different bolt rack animation and all that. But, yeah, PKM. Other than the reload animation, this is working really well, and actually it has its own custom sound that I particularly like how it sounds in the game as well. But I want to highlight now as I was kind of bringing up at the very start, I want to highlight the commander and group system, as well as that loot system. However, it's probably going to be a little hard to see it in the production or release version, which I'm currently running. So I'm going to go into the editor and go from there, so I can kind of zoom around the map and not get shot at. So I'm going to switch, and I will see you all in just a moment. Alright, so here we are. Let's go ahead and hop into a contract. I'm just gonna do... I'm gonna try the plantation. I feel like that'll be a pretty good map to kind of highlight all this stuff. Let's go with, I don't know, bandits. I don't think I've shown them very much in the devlogs. So one thing about the commander and group system, I kind of mentioned this as well in the changelogs, but how it works is I've predefined a bunch of points on the map. So there are patrol routes, which count as a point, and then there are defensive points. So, all right, I had an update pop up. That's the first time that's ever happened during a devlog. Anyway, so as I was saying, then the other thing you have are defensive points. So there will be, or so to take the plantation map as an example, this right here is like a guardhouse, so this is a key defensive point, so the AI will try to form a group if there's enough of them spawned, and they will move here to try to kind of occupy that. There's a few other locations, as you can imagine, that are defensive points. I do try to keep points away from your spawn, which is right about here. I should actually mark those on the map. I'll do that in the future too. But how it works is the AI will only generate groups and use a commander overhead system if you have enough to, or if they have enough to form one group to cover each point and patrol route. Another point I didn't really mention that's not considered when initially forming groups is there are retreat points. So they're not fully, they don't really do anything currently. There's a few things, like I was mentioning earlier, I want to expand on the commander system. One of the things is I'm going to make it so that groups will coordinate even better and they will try to flank you and stuff like that when they find you. But another thing I'm going to have is if you do a lot of damage on a group but you don't necessarily finish them off, I'm going to have them so they'll retreat to one of those previously mentioned retreat points, and they'll get reinforcements there and heal up and whatever they need to do, and then they'll go back out and hunt you down or return to patrolling, whatever the case may be. So in the terms of the plantation, I believe 16 enemies is enough. And then the other thing that I was mentioning too is there is the loot system, which you just need, if I remember right, it was greater than 5. So you need 6 enemies at least to start spawning in loot. And it just randomly, it's just random, however much loot you get. There's, if you have like 6 to 10 enemies, you have one randomized loot briefcase that'll spawn and it'll have some money in it. Then going from there, it's like 10 to 15. You'll get 2, and then greater than that, you'll have 3 boxes that'll spawn. And each of those boxes will have a randomized amount of money in them, and they spawn at a randomized location. So who knows? You may get super lucky, and you may get actually more money from the loot box than you even get for the contract pay, assuming you make it out alive. If you die, you don't get anything, of course, but that's if you get really lucky. I think I only have it as a 10% chance to get a pretty big, substantial amount. But anyway, enough of that. Let's jump into here, and I can actually show it better than just talking about it. Alright, here we are. So I'm going to minimize that. Alright, so let's take a look here. Actually, let me hide here so I don't get shot at while I observe what they're doing. So you can see here that the AI has formed groups, and actually I guess 16 was the perfect amount because there's none left over that are kind of just sitting around. So they have formed groups of 2. The minimum group size is 2. The biggest is 4, I believe I set it at. I might up that later, we'll see. But how it works, you can see these guys just keep moving. These guys have actually moved to the defensive point. Actually, there is oh yeah, so these guys are guarding this flank, and these guys are guarding the main road. These guys you can see are patrolling. And I have them on a looping patrol. That is another feature that I added, was the patrols, which I then also implemented here. First, the patrols were only in the campaign, in the Scent of Prey level, and then they just had to be in the contracts. So you can see, yeah, they all move around. I believe there's probably going to be some moving in the house itself, if I can find the roof. I don't know why they moved up here. God. Alright, well, we got some unintentional action with the PKM there. You can see it's very powerful. It has a fair bit of spread, you know, it's a machine gun. You're not making sniper shots with it. But, yeah, apparently those guys actually do patrol pretty close to the vehicle there. And I forgot about that. Anyway. That interruption out of the way here. There's another defensive point. We got 2 guys covering the entrance to the plantation house here. And then if I disable the roof... There we go. So you can see enemies in here will also patrol around. That guy's kind of going occasionally out here as well. And otherwise, they will stay at their spawns sometimes and guard those, but I like it. I would say this is a huge improvement. How it used to be before this is it would just spawn. So if you remember, I spawned 16 enemies, they would just stay at their spawn. And, you know, they would watch a good direction, but they would never move. So I feel like there was not very much replayability in the contracts, or at least not as much as there is now, because, you know, you could encounter these guys at a different point in their patrol. They may not see you. For example, if you were walking... Well, take these two guys who attacked me here. If you would taken off immediately from the spawn, you would not have encountered them, and they could have actually ended up behind you at some point and kind of been on your flank, and that would not have been good. It wasn't good in my case either, because they scared the hell out of me, but all's well that ends well. So I think that covers the groups pretty well. You can see how they're working now, and like I mentioned, this is all they do at the moment. They patrol and they defend. In the future, there will be a lot more. But going forward in the next update, I'm thinking of either starting to work more seriously on the weapon customization system, so, you know, you'll be able to change out handguards and scopes and add foregrips, change pistol grips, etc., all of that cool stuff, which isn't hard to do, but it will be very time-consuming. Actually, most things in this game so far have been more so time-consuming than difficult to do, with a few exceptions. Also, speaking of which, thank you to everyone who has pointed out glitches so far. There was one particular glitch while I'm talking about things that were difficult, where I didn't even notice this when I was testing, but iron sights, with the rifles specifically, there was an offset because the rifle's on, you know, your right or left shoulder, but the iron sight was always at your cursor. So how that used to cause an issue is if I'm shooting right here, the bullets would actually go up here because of the shoulder offset. And the way I fixed that, ultimately, is now it always shoots towards your cursor. So, you know, if you change shoulders, it will still make a difference. You'll be able to shoot around obstacles, but yeah, it'll always aim, or it'll always shoot where you're aiming, which, don't know how I never noticed that beforehand, but I didn't. But that was surprisingly difficult to think through the math required to get it to always start the bullet off by pointing towards your cursor. And, well, yeah, I got it though. A lot of stuff with the guns was a little bit complicated on the math side, but yeah, this was, there was a few complex parts with the group system, but I don't know. It didn't feel like it was that hard, but it was time-consuming to do. Anyway, then the other thing, like I was mentioning, was the treasures. So, kind of the same way it works is you have treasure spawn points. I don't know. I feel like it's not that big of a spoiler or whatever to just show where they are. I mean, it's only one map. There it is. So you can see this is what the briefcases will always look like. I am going to add more types of loot in the future, but currently you just have these briefcases, and like I said, they contain a randomized amount of money. So, let's see if I'm garbage at my own game. I'm going to try to fight my way over there. We just got to take out these 4 guys. Can see them all right now, so shouldn't be that difficult. Let's see what we can do. And then I'm going to try to get that opened. That wasn't good. I started dragging on the bottom of the screen there because I'm in the editor. Let me go back to full screen here and we'll try that again. Yeah, not good when I can't shoot because I accidentally clicked outside the window. Oh, jeez. Another thing I've been working on is further optimization. Also, I think I forgot to... So as you can see, I can see all the enemies right now. You're not supposed to be able to see them unless you're looking at them. I think I forgot to toggle that off in the build. Good thing by the time you all see this, I'm actually recording this before I even uploaded it to Steam, so that'll be a 1-second fix. Oh yeah, I forgot I restarted it, so now let me just use my developer god powers to figure out where the treasure actually spawned. Probably going to be somewhere really tough to get to this time, am I right? Oh, nice. Alright, that's actually very easy to get to. So, let's go check this, money briefcase out. Just spawned right over here, next to this body bag. So, moment of truth. We're gonna click on this, see what kind of big money we get, or little money, and just have immense disappointment. Oh my god. Ooh, 5.3 credits. So one thing I want to point out there, I know this is kind of a weird way to express it, but you saw there it said 5,000 OBD, which is like Obatanwe dollars, because in-game lore, you know, this takes place in the southern African country, which is made up of Obatanwe, which I have... If you saw the map from earlier, it's just like pretty much where... it's just north of South Africa. I just kind of like cut a little bit out of the real world country of like Botswana and a little bit out of South Africa, and that became this. Yeah, the map's a little weird, speaking of which. I don't know. I can talk about that later. But yeah, so that's the in-game world, is Obatanwe, and that's why you get Obatanwe dollars. And then behind the scenes, how it works is every time you start the game, there is a different exchange rate for how powerful the Obatanwe dollar is compared to Mercnet credits, which are staked with gold. And so it's just like you're converting the Obatanwe dollars into gold, and that's what that little parenthesis is there. It's like that's the actual amount you got. You got 5.3 credits, equivalent to 5,000 Obatanwe dollars. So that's the loot system. And like I said, it does randomize between how much you can get. It'll also change the color. I think if you got a little amount of money, I think it's just white, if I remember right. The medium amount, which is what I actually got, is yellow, and a large amount I think is pink. I may have mixed those up. It might be pink for... I don't remember, but at any rate, let me cover this map. So like I said, I actually did cut a bit out of Zimbabwe as well, but then the other weird thing about this map is I wanted to have kind of a diverse amount of environments for you to play in, which isn't super noticeable yet in this stage of development, but later on, like you can see, well, that's a little small, but up here is the Mbele jungle. Now, actual Africa, you don't get jungles until reaching Central Africa. This is nowhere near Central Africa. So what I did was, you know, I took the actual land area here with Botswana, Zimbabwe, and South Africa, and just kind of was like, okay, here's this country, just like plop it here where their borders are, and then just like chisel it out. However, then I also kind of compressed, if you want to think of it that way. So, you know, all of Africa, then I just compressed it down. So where Central Africa would normally be way off the screen up here, now it's kind of down here more so. So it allows for a greater amount of environments, like the jungle, which I have some very good ideas for the campaign, actually. The final level will take place in the jungle. I think it'll be really cool. But long way from there. I need to finish writing the story. I have the all of what you've seen now. I have 2 more levels written up, plus the final level. But I want to write more levels in between. It's kind of weird. I have the beginning very well planned out and already implemented, but then I also have the final level planned out. But I can't figure out the best way to get there. I want to introduce all the characters. I've written like 20 pages of lore, of backstory on all the characters, so I'm excited to put them in the game, and hopefully you'll all find them to be pretty cool and interesting. And hopefully all the lore of the of Obatanwe and of this universe is pretty interesting to you all as well. Hopefully it's not a garbage story by the time that it's done. But yeah, it'll be probably more story work the next update. Maybe I'll start on that weapon customization system, but it's definitely not going to be out by the next update. We'll see. Anyway, I need to disable it. I need to disable enemies from being visible all the time. And yeah, by the time you all see this update would have already come out. So if any of you have played it, then thank you, and hopefully you're enjoying it. Thanks to everyone who has bought the game and provided feedback so far. That has been immensely helpful. As I mentioned before, you know, there have been bugs I didn't even realize. that Iron Sight one was pretty bad, and I wasn't aware of it, but luckily it was, you know, not too bad to fix. There was a ton of other ones like that, so huge thanks to everyone. Whether it was a bug or just like, you know, for example, movement speed was a little on the slow side, so I was able to up that, gameplay changes and all that. It's been good. So that covers pretty much everything, all the big stuff since release. There are numerous things I kind of glossed over or didn't cover at all. I've done a ton of back-end changes and optimization that is boring to talk about, so I won't even bother. But yeah, hopefully in the next update, it'll run even better. I've already been doing some optimization on the story. I'm going to do a bit on the contracts. I noticed there's occasional frame drops on the Shantytown level. Making it run better is always preferable, even if, you know, whatever. Anyway, I'll end it here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.